Lexus may not be at the edge of innovation. In fact, I feel like they're one of the last ones to adopt any new technological innovations into their cars. Personally, I feel like Lexus does this on purpose in order to protect the brand's reliability and dependability. As one of the top 3 most reliable brands, I feel like Lexus waits to see if any new technological innovation is reliable long-term, and then they'll eventually add it into their vehicles. That said, let's take a closer look at the new 2020 Lexus RX 350 F Sport, because for 2020, this thing finally gets a touchscreen display, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and much more. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing I want to do is go over all the weird, cool, and important features of the 2020 Lexus RX 350 F Sport. And the first thing I want to point out is Lexus seems to think that we still use CD players. I kind of like that it's a Throwback Thursday, but it's still weird that Lexus seems to think that people still use CDs. The biggest and most important update for 2020 is that the display is now a touchscreen, and you don't have to use that annoying touchpad thing down here. You can just touch it, and that's basically heaven. Not only that, you get standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is a very welcome feature because Lexus was kind of late to the game with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. First, they just had Apple CarPlay, and that was after everybody else had it. And now you get Android Auto, and both are standard, so big plus there. The next thing I want to point out are probably the coolest cup holders that I've ever seen in my life. You see this front drink? You can push it all the way down, and that means you can access those buttons a lot easier. For me, that's to differentiate which drink belongs to the passenger and which one belongs to me. The front one is mine, the back one is the passenger's. We're no longer get that mixed up, and I love that. The next thing that I want to point out isn't necessarily new for Lexus models, but this is how windows should operate in a luxury car. They slow down as they hit the bottom, and then they slow down once again as they hit the top. Very smooth. That's how it should be done. And I love that blind spot window out there. Makes it very easy to see what's in your blind spot when you're switching lanes. Now, there is no doubt that a lot of people will be using the Lexus RX as their family vehicle, and that means a lot of trips to the grocery store. So say, for example, you're coming out of the grocery store and your hands are full and you can't reach for your keys. You can simply walk up to the back, kick your foot like this, and the trunk will open up automatically. That feature costs an extra $150, and to be honest, I tried that about 8 times until it just worked. Now, I got asked a pretty funny question on my Instagram Q&A session with the Lexus RX 350 F Sport, and it was, how many of Angelina Jolie's kids can you fit inside? In this one here in particular, you could fit 4, her as a driver, 1 kid in the front, and then 3 in the back. And if you want to fit more of Angelina Jolie's kids, you'll have to go for the Lexus RX L, which gives you a 3rd row with 2 extra seats, so a total of 6 kids. And then you can swap out the 2nd row for captain chairs for an extra $450, and then you can fit only 5 of Angelina Jolie's kids. Next up, let's talk pricing and what the Lexus RX competes with. The Lexus RX 350 all-wheel drive starts at $45,550. The F Sport all-wheel drive here starts at $49,350. The RX 350L, which is the one with the 3rd row, all-wheel drive starts at $48,700. As tested here, you're looking at right over $61,000. There is no doubt that Americans love their crossovers and SUVs, and this luxury crossover SUV segment is pretty packed. You have the Acura MDX, the Audi Q7, the BMW X5, the Cadillac XT6, Lincoln Aviator, Mercedes-Benz GLE, Volvo XC90. Now, since the Lexus RX only has 1 engine option, you're really only competing with the base trim levels of its competitors in terms of performance and price. Now, let's talk about performance for a second, because even though this is an F Sport model and it's a Lexus F, it's not any faster. Power still comes from a 3.5-liter V6, making 295 horsepower and 268 pound-feet of torque, and that's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, since the 3.5-liter V6 is the only engine option that you have, you won't see the RX competing with the X5M competition or the GLE 63 anytime soon. 0 to 60 comes in at 7.9 seconds for the all-wheel drive model and 7.7 seconds for the front-wheel drive model, and both have a top speed of 124 miles an hour. Now, if you're in a rush or you just want to have some fun, you can pop the Lexus RX 350 F Sport into Sport S Plus to go simply crazy. Other drive modes include Sport S, Eco, and then you have Custom. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, the Lexus RX 350 all-wheel drive models average 19 city and 26 highway. You have a 19.2 gallon tank capacity. I'm averaging, after a few days of driving, a total of 19.2 miles a gallon, so that's not bad at all. Now let's talk about design, because I absolutely love the looks of the Lexus RX. I think it's a great balance of sport and luxury. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the giant spindle grille in the front end, but but I actually like it, and I think it helps the RX stand apart from a crowd of luxury crossovers and SUVs. Personally, I think the Lexus RX looks the best in the F Sport trim because it gets some really nice model exclusive design elements that give it a really distinctive look. Starting with the front end, you get a really nice F Sport mesh grille, which is probably the best version of the spindle grille in my opinion. You also get F Sport front fenders, and then on the back you have F Sport touches to the rear, black outside side view mirrors, and then you have these really nice 20-inch F Sport wheels with a really cool dark graphite finish, and then obviously there's a bunch of F Sport badges all around to let everybody know that you're a little bit more special than they are. Next up, I absolutely love these triple beam Lyrical Dream headlamps, which cost an additional $1,675 extra, and if you want them to be adaptive, you have to pay an extra $300. But those look really, really cool. And then let's hop over to the back and check out the LED taillights. Lexus really knows how to make really cool taillights. These are kind of a three-dimensional design, and they're in the shape of an L to signify that this is a Lexus after all. Now let's talk about trunk space, because you can't talk about a family crossover SUV without talking about trunk space. With the second row in user position, you have 16 cubic feet, and with the second row folded, you have 33 cubic feet, and that's basically enough space to put anything that you want in there. To fold the second row, all you have to do is come back here and pull these latches right here. There goes the right one, and there goes the left one. I'm a fan of manual folding rows instead of automatic ones that can take quite a while. Step inside and you're welcomed by a very luxurious and extremely, extremely comfortable interior. Listen, I get it. Lexus interiors may not be as stylish as its rivals, but the quality and the fit and finish of Lexus interiors is definitely unbeatable. Nothing in here creaks, nothing in here squeaks. When you sit in this cabin and really go through it with a fine-tooth comb, you realize how serious Lexus takes quality, and that's why they continuously win awards for their reliability and their dependability. Everything in here is really nice to touch. Lexus used some really cool textures around the cabin. This steering wheel in particular is super comfortable to hold. This one here is an F Sport steering, so you do have paddle shifters, and that's probably something no Lexus RX buyer will ever use besides for myself. Next up, I know that most automakers, especially luxury brands, are opting for full digital instrument gauge cluster displays. Lexus, however, nothing too exciting here. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. There's no full screen maps, there's no cover art for your media. The only excitement that this gauge cluster sees is when you redline it, you'll see a little red ring appear and the blue needle will stay there to let you know what RPM you hit. And then right above the gauge cluster, if you want a heads-up display, you'll have to pay $600 extra. Now moving over to the infotainment system, you have an 8-inch display as standard, but if you pay $2,285 extra, you can get the 12.3-inch display that you see here with the native Lexus navigation system. Now the big news here is that the display is now a touchscreen, and that's simply amazing. And that includes both sizes, whether you go an upgrade to the 12.3-inch display you see here, or you stick with the standard 8-inch display, both are touchscreen. And yes, that's definitely something very exciting for the Lexus RX, because before this, you had to deal with this annoying mouse pad crappy thing, and it was completely difficult to use. I'm so happy that now I can just touch the screen and go to where I want to go. And as I mentioned earlier, Lexus has finally added Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Finally, Lexus, you've caught up to the rest of the world. Congratulations, big round of applause from me. Now, it is pretty impressive that when it comes to driver assist tech, the Lexus RX 350 F Sport comes standard with lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control as standard. Those are not optional. The only thing optional is a $1,865 camera system, and that's what's going on in that screen, and let me tell you a little bit more about that. Now, when you're parked, the camera system will just play a 360 view. It kind of feels like a drone just flying around your car and giving you a perfect view of your surroundings. Kind of looks weird. And then you can also do the same spin around feature from the inside of the car. I don't know why you'd want to do it from the inside, but you know, you have that option. But the coolest thing about the camera system is that you can set it to automatically turn on every time you come to a stop. I'm stopped, so now it's showing me the front view of my car along with the 360 view. Now, when I turn the steering wheel to the left, it'll show me like a 3D image map thing that Audi and BMW do. Obviously, it's not as crystal and cool as BMW and Audi, but it's still cool nonetheless. Let's talk about comfort, because the interior of the Lexus RX is so comfortable and so quiet. These seats are amazingly comfortable. They really hold you in place, and they're very comfortable for a long drive. And now, depending on the model you pick, heated and cooled seats can run you an additional $640. If you go for the F Sport package like this model has here, they are standard. When it comes to the second row, you have 38 inches of rear legroom, and that's plenty of space. I'm about 6 foot tall. That's my seating position. As you can see, I have a lot of leg space still here. You have two 2.1 amp USB ports back here for your charging needs, and that's pretty much it. There's not much entertainment other than that going on back here. This panoramic roof will cost you an additional $1,850 extra, and honestly, I feel like that should just be standard. Finally, let's just point out two things that I always point out. The door open and close sound from the outside and from the inside. It's beeping because I left the key inside. And then let's honk the horn and see how the horn sounds on the 2020 Lexus RX 350 F Sport. Pretty solid. Now that I've given you a complete tour of the 2020 Lexus RX 350 F Sport, let me give you my opinion on what I think about one of the most popular luxury SUVs crossovers on the market. Let's get to it. The F in the RX 350 F Sport stands for fast or Fuji Speedway, and that must mean this thing is really fast, but it's kind of not. It's still powered by the same 3.5 liter V6 as all other RX 350 models, and it's very reliable, and it's a very, very smooth engine. Now, when it comes to performance, Lexus officially quotes the 0 to 60 time on the RX 350 F Sport in at 7.9 seconds for the all-wheel drive model, but honestly, it does feel a little bit quicker than that, maybe like in the low 7 seconds. That being said, the Lexus RX, whether F Sport or not, is so smooth and so comfortable. Honestly, I've tested so many luxury SUVs and crossovers this year, but the Lexus RX has to be one of the smoothest, one of the most comfortable, and the quietest out of them all. This thing handles road imperfections with such ease. It feels so solid and so reliable, and that's what people buying the Lexus RX are looking for. They're looking for reliability because, hey, reliability can be also very, very cool. My top picks in this segment include the BMW X5, the Lexus RX, the Mercedes-Benz GLE, and the Volvo XC90. The Lexus RX here happens to be one of the cheapest out of them all, and as you end up adding a whole bunch of bells and whistles, the fully loaded price tag of a Lexus RX can start approaching the starting price tag of a lot of its more luxurious competitors. Either way, thanks for hanging out with me today. Make sure you hit subscribe on my YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Omar Drives. And if you're enjoying my content, make sure you share it with your friends. I tried something different today here on YouTube. I didn't do the whole Q&A from Instagram thing. I just went and did a full review by myself, and I probably will do that a lot more. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe. I'll see you next week. Take care. Peace. Not gonna go fast because this is just nice and comfortable. Just a butter smooth ride.